Good morning. I am once again with West Palm Beach Mayor Jerry Muoio. I'm Barry O'Brien here from the mayor's office. Good morning.
Good morning, Barry.
And we want to thank Cosmo and Company for allowing us to do this with you, airing it every Saturday and Sunday morning. I'm here in your office in downtown West Palm Beach on Wednesday morning. Yesterday I attended, as you did, the Walkability study with Jeff Speck, and there's some very interesting things that came out of that, and I wanted to touch on a few of them. Can you give us your overview? I know he's going to be giving a written report in a couple of maybe 2 or 3 weeks or so, but your initial reaction on what he said?
Well, I thought he did a great job. A lot of really excellent recommendations. I had spoken with him when he was here doing the study, and so I pretty much knew what the recommendations were going to be. I had a good sense of it, but his presentation was incredibly interesting, and he had lots of good ideas. I think that I know we're going to get a report in about a month, and we will then put together a cross-functional team to take a look at it and start laying out action plans as to some of the things that we can immediately look at and work towards the others. And of course, we'll be getting lots of resident input on the various options and where we need to go with them.
It struck me that first of all, the meeting was very well attended. I don't know how many people the chamber auditorium can hold, but it looked to be about 80% full to me. But I would highly recommend that anybody who has the opportunity and is interested in something like this attend these sessions. Is this available online now? Did you take? I know you normally do tape these things. Excuse me. But it was a very, very interesting presentation. And a lot of the things that he said seemed a little counterintuitive, of like adding parking and, the everybody's reaction, all right, what can we do to make this traffic flow smoothly and get people out of town? And a lot of the comments that he made were like, well, that's not necessarily good for business. If you slow things down, I remember that he showed a picture of a street in Fort Lauderdale that had parking on one side and no parking on the other, and it was in happy hour. And when you looked at all of the sidewalks with the restaurants, the side that had the cars parked on it had plenty of people. The other side, they didn't want to sit where all the traffic was going by. So it was very interesting.
There are a lot of things that are counterintuitive. But he has good data to support it. He often recommends to cities that roads go on a road diet, which means right now it's sort of standard to have 12-foot lanes on a street. His recommendation is to bring those down to 10.5 feet to 10 feet. And he's got a lot of data that supports that the same amount of traffic can be accommodated on a narrower lane as on the wider lanes. It slows people down a little, but traffic moves. And when you're in the city, first of all, for safety reasons, you want people to drive slowly. Secondly, for business reasons, you want people to drive slowly because they see the shops and they see the restaurants, and then will maybe come back and go to one of those places. So there's a lot of good research that says that happens. Same with parking. Lots of people think free parking is nirvana, but it's not, because
you don't get the turnover when you do that.
Exactly.
First thing you do is you end up having all of your employees take the space for the entire day, so that you've lost all the advantage.
Exactly, and we have some merchants that we have to convince them of that fact, but the higher the parking rates, the more the turnover, the more people come to your business, the more people see your business and shop in your business. So, but there's good research on all of this.
Sure. When you think of the cities that you would consider being great walkable cities, like San Francisco, Boston, New York, Chicago, they are congested cities, but they're congested in a way that makes the walking interesting. I mean, one of the reasons why you like to walk in New York is you're always going to see something. You're always going to see something. And in downtown West Palm Beach, while you take Clematis Street and places like that, the entire 3 or 4 blocks, there's something to look at. But when you go to other areas and there's an empty block, it's not really all that exciting to walk by. So the more that you can make it inviting for people to park their cars, build a building there, get people to go by, it really.
I think the other thing he did really well that I liked is that he superimposed proposed development in downtown.
Yes.
With his grid and all of his recommendations. And, when you look at the proposed development, it is starting to fill in some of those gaps. The other thing he presented was a bike plan, which is something that we're really hopefully going to implement, because it really, we're doing bike share in our downtown, and it's.
That's supposed to start in the fall, right? I think
Correct.
we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Right, yeah.
One other thing that he had that I thought was very interesting, and that is that we have, some of our garages here are full, but for the most part, there's a lot of unused spaces in the garages, especially at night. And we have a requirement, I guess, every city has got it, but it appears to me that here in South Florida, you require a lot of on-site parking when somebody is building an apartment building or a condo building. And if I understood Jeff correctly, he's looking at places, and I remember specifically the Avernia garage because that appeared to be the most empty, especially at night. Maybe we can be looking and cutting back the requirement of parking and allow people to park in those garages. And maybe, so maybe you build a condo building, and instead of having one space required for every unit, maybe you have one for every other, and people can buy them, but they also have got dedicated parking in those garages.
Well, we've already started to do that. We have a proposed development on Datura and Olive, or Dixie, I think, Datura and
For
Dixie.
the hotel.
And they will use the Averni garage to park that hotel. So, our planning department's already looking at how we can do that. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it really does make a lot of sense. All right, we're going to take a brief break, hear from Cosmo and Company, and we will be right back. And we are right back. Hi, this is Barry O'Brien again here on Seaview Radio. We're with West Palm Beach Mayor Jerry Muoio in her office in downtown West Palm. It's funny, while I was waiting for you outside, I got an email from a friend of mine who happens to be in San Antonio right now for a few months, and he asked me about quiet zones downtown. And as he sent me the email, I heard a train whistle going. And there was one going on when we were in the press conference just a short while ago. So that brings me to the question, and I mean, we're talking about all aboard Florida a lot, but there's going to be an increase in freight traffic as well, and there's a lot of discussion of quiet zones.
Well, we don't know that there's going to be an increase in freight traffic. One of the things I heard the other day was a lot of the freight trains that go by now are only partially filled, and that there's a lot of room for additional freight on the existing freight trains that are going north and south here. So if there's an expansion of the port and all of the other predictors that there's going to be additional freight, there's
Right.
space to accommodate that with the
Right.
already.
Well, of course, the length of the train doesn't affect the horns. There's a horn if the train is 2 cars long or 100
Well,
cars
or,
long.
the reason I said that, though, is because people are thinking there's going to be more numbers of freight trains. And,
Right.
And we don't know that.
We don't know the answer to that.
The other big misunderstanding that's out there is that all aboard Florida does freight. They do not do freight. They cannot do freight. They only do passenger.
Right.
So
right.
they can't even, they don't even talk about what an increase in freight would be, because it's not them. You
Sure.
need to talk to.
Sure. Now, we've talked about how many crossings are in the city of West Palm Beach. It's a very large number. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, it was like 40 or 50, right?
No, it's 39, 37 or 39.
Okay, so if you get some money for quiet zones, and these have to be funded by the cities, correct?
Correct.
All right, and let's say it's not as much as you would like, do you have priorities as to where these quiet zones are going to be? Would downtown, for example, get more priority than somebody further south that doesn't affect as many people, or?
We haven't talked about that, because we fully expect to have quiet zones at all of the crossings, and that's our goal.
So it's all is the goal, of course. I just read where the Convention and Visitors Bureau, what is it, Discover Palm Beach, is doing a push to try to get people to do summer vacations here. It's funny, but I was just talking to my stepdaughter the other day, called me from New York, and she's thinking of coming down and going to the Breakers, which is great.
Oh, great.
Uh,
Get a good price in the summer.
well, it's true. I'll tell you, if I knew what I know now, instead of spending vacations in Cape Cod and fighting with all the traffic, I certainly would have thought of coming here. But they're doing a whole county-wide push. What would you suggest that people do in West Palm Beach? We don't have a beach in West Palm Beach, so somebody's coming down, and or they're doing it from somewhere else in Palm Beach County or locally. What would they be looking at in West Palm Beach on a Saturday or Sunday?
Wow. Well, there's lots of stuff. First of all, we got amazing cultural venues. So I would recommend that they stop at the Norton and maybe get some tickets for something at the Kravis or DramaWorks. DramaWorks is going to be doing a couple of musicals this summer that I think people will enjoy.
That's an incredible facility. When I walked in there, they did an amazing job on that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We have water sports, so you can take a boat ride, a sunset boat ride on the Intercoastal. You can rent a jet ski or one of those power things that shoot you up in the air.
Where do they do the jet skis? Where do they do that?
If you go to
On the waterfront?
If you go to our visitor center, and there's a little kiosk on the waterfront that's right there at Discover West Palm Beach, and I think that's the name of it. You can arrange all of that, so I would suggest they do that. Go visit Grassy Waters, which is a pristine remnant of the Everglades, and you get
Now, somebody told me the other day that they thought you could do a airboat out there. Is that true?
No, the general public can't do it, but you can do canoes, and they have guided tours periodically, so Grassy's a beautiful place to go. The zoo and the science center are amazing. I recommend people to go take a look at both of those.
There's so many things, no matter what city you live in, there's so many things that are local that you don't do. How many
right.
people live in New York and haven't been to the Statue of Liberty?
Right.
Well, there's a lot of things right here in our backyard.
There are.
And we should consider doing it. We can't ask you any more about when are you going to name a police chief. I guess that was all ratified yesterday.
Yeah. Brian Cumberland is our new police chief, and I think he'll do a great job.
And this is the last week for the green market, right?
It is.
That'll be back again in the fall.
Yep.
All right. Well, Mayor Muoio, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. We will be back next Saturday and Sunday morning, and I will see you on the radio here on Seaview at 6:05 on Tuesday night. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.